Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening or good afternoon. Some of us it's good morning, believe it or not. So, yeah, thank you for being here with us today. My name is Alex Beamer. I'm the director of band and orchestra with West Music Company, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be on this talk today with one of my good friends, Dr. Chika. And I met her a couple years ago when we were at NAM, and I heard her play, and heard her talk about pedagogy, and I was like, wow. Someday we're going to do something together that's going to be fun, and everybody's in for a treat today because today's the day, right? Yeah, right. So
That's right.
thanks for joining us tonight. I have to say a huge thank you before we get rolling to Conn-Selmer. They have partnered with us on helping to get her talking here today and getting this event rolling. So I know Sophie is on the line today, so thank you again, and Conn-Selmer. And we'll get into some instrument stuff and things like that later. So, but without further ado on this one, Dr. Chika, let's turn it over to you. And right before I do, let me just introduce for a second. And she is a professor. She kind of does it all, right? She is a professor. She is an active clinician. She is one of the first call for the LA Phil for saxophone. So that's a huge thing, right? I mean, like, that's one job for, one spot for that, right? And she's the call, so that's pretty awesome. So she's kind of, she does it all. So that's why I think that this talk today on, like, what we were doing before the pandemic, and now what are we going to do after it, and how we're gonna keep live music rolling. I think this is a perfect opportunity for us to have this discussion. So feel free to type things in the chat. I'll monitor it, and this is kind of a back and forth too. So if there's something that you guys want to jump in and ask a question or something like that, please do so, because it's an open forum, and we want to get everybody involved. So, Chika, I'll turn it over to you. Tell us who you are and what you do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Alex, for your introduction. And hello, everybody. Good evening. It's actually good morning for me. I am in Kyoto, Japan at this moment. And I've been here in Japan since March of 2020, right around when the pandemic started happening. I decided to come back to Japan. This is where actually my home country, and my family lives here, and my boyfriend is here. So I thought, you know what, I'll come back and stay with my family. So that's what I've been doing. And I'm very fortunate that I have been able to still teach for California State University Dominguez Hills, which is located near Los Angeles, and teaching, of course, lectures and also the saxophone lessons, and teaching that. And also, sure, we have to limit ourselves from going outside, and a lot of events have been canceled, but there are some events happening. Concerts can still happen in Japan. We are able to have 50% capacity of concerts. So I'm very fortunate. I've been doing concert here as well. Um, a little bit about myself. I call myself a classical saxophonist. I specialize in playing saxophone, playing classical music. And the reason why I started was because I was a classical pianist since I was very little. I started piano when I was 4, and I, just kept doing the classical piano. And I came to the United States when I was about 12. Of course, I lived in Japan. I was born in Japan, and I was located in Germany as well when I was growing up because of my father's business. And then we were in San Diego, California. And all of a sudden, I was like, I want to join the marching band and immerse myself in the American culture. So that's what I did. And that's when I started the saxophone. And I never thought I would be taking this far in my musical career, but I loved it. And that's how I end up over here and
That's what a
sitting in
marching
front
band
of
will
you.
do to you, huh? There you go.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Here you go.
Yeah, but marching band was so new to me, and I loved it, and I still do love the music. Interestingly enough, I also did marching band at UCLA as well for 2 years, so you know how much I love doing that. um, and yeah, and what was I going to say? I lost the train of thoughts, but the saxophone. And I never really thought about like jazz, for example. I always get asked like, how have you done jazz, or do you do any jazz? And of course I've been in jazz band, and I do, I've learned all the theories and, you know, throughout my schooling. But yeah, what really resonates me is really a classical music and the color of the sound of classical saxophone. And um, yeah, and
Well,
what
I think a great question here,
Mhm.
you were talking about, especially your teaching.
Yeah,
Um, you know, how's that been going? I mean, isn't that's the big question maybe on a lot of people's minds, right? It's like, well, you're still teaching your college students. So,
right.
let's get into that for a second. So, you're in Japan right now. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's a little bit of a time difference,
It is. Yeah.
just slightly. So
Right.
how does that work? I mean, like college students, they're up and down. Like, I mean, I remember when I was in college, right? I was never up early in the day, even when I had to be. But so like how does that work? How's the time difference? How's it just doing things virtual?
Yeah. So from here to Los Angeles, we have 17-hour difference. So 9 a.m. here, over there is 5 p.m. So luckily for lessons, that's fairly okay. I usually do maybe 8 a.m., 9 a.m. Lessons, or even or I mean for me here, like for them maybe 5 p.m. lessons. So that works out. And for lectures, uh, even before the pandemic, I was actually really fortunate to have online lecture class, which means I didn't have to meet with like 50 students in front of me. I was able to converse with them through an online platform that teaches, that I can put up the slides on, and the quizzes and tests online in this one platform, and post my video talking. So it's still interactive, but everything was done online through that. So I was fortunate to have that class, so I could also travel and do master class and do that while I'm teaching
Have you
across
found
the
any
range.
advantages? Have you found any advantages to the schedule and things that you're doing now? I mean, like, how have the students been? Have they been receptive? Have they been practicing?
Yeah, the practicing
Right.
is extremely difficult, extremely difficult. And there are many students who are living with their families, so they can't practice for long hours. And they're like, oh, we want to go back to school so we can practice. I don't know about where you are, but in Los Angeles and probably in all over California, they can't enter the campus at all,
Mm.
so they can't go to practice rooms. And I know my friend in Michigan was telling me that he goes to the schools, um, now and then. So I'm seeing that there are different, um, how do you say, regulations.
Well,
But
yeah, I mean, I think, we're in Iowa, right? So we lead the nation in in-person learning, right? So that's yeah, exactly. So it's very interesting. So how have
Mm,
so it seems like the students have had maybe a little bit of a difficulty adapting to some of these things, being able to
of course,
still get the same experience. So
right.
has there anything creative gone on
Yeah.
to get that experience, right? That in-person thing that they're so
Mhm.
looking, but also, I mean, I remember whenever I was in college, I every once in a while I needed my teacher to kind of like quote unquote crack the whip, right? Right? Because you got hung up in social things and all that kind of stuff. So So how has that worked? Like, have you been able to get a little creative with them to make sure that they're still getting, you know, through what they need to?
Yeah. Yes, especially with I also direct a pep band, and
That's right. I forgot about
yeah,
that.
yeah,
That's
in
right.
pep
That's right.
band, and of course we can't play together, and everything has to be virtual ensemble. So we're doing the virtual ensemble, like everybody's recording themselves on their phone. That's what we've been doing, like a weekly thing, so that they'll get into a rhythm of, getting the music and then practicing it and then recording it and
Mm.
submitting it, doing that cycle every week. So they have to practice. And what we started last semester was to be on the Twitch platform. Now,
Really
for those of you who don't
interesting.
know what Twitch is, it's a game, streaming game streaming platform. And they also have a section for music as well. And you see a lot of those DJs playing their music live. And it's when you start watching it, it's pretty interesting. I absolutely did not know anything about Twitch until my students, and also I was talking with my esports director at Dominguez Hills at my university, and he's actually the one who mentioned about Twitch.
Hmm.
And he said there's a music section and people actually listen to music, and people do a bunch of shows on there. And why don't the pep band do like a music shows and get the students be creative within that platform. So that's what we started doing. And, we come into a meeting and say, so, what do you guys want to do? And they said, oh, you know what? Like, I can do an arranging show. The guy, this one gentleman said, he said, maybe I can do a streaming of arranging music for pep band. So that started going, and that became one show. And the others was like, oh, maybe, every other week, maybe we can do some kind of social gaming event. So, once in a while, we schedule ourselves doing a gaming, that because that's the platform was made for. And once in a while, we have like an interview with some musicians or talk amongst themselves. But that is a show. Like everybody will be on there, and then they do a live show. So that kind of brings everybody together and come together and talk about it. What do they want to do? And that really, creates a community. And yeah,
I
that's been
hate
a very interesting.
it. I hate to admit it. I mean, I'm a millennial, but I have not I have not platform. So
Yeah.
help me a little bit more with this. So um, you recorded music, or are these live streams that?
Yeah, these are live streams.
Interesting. So
Yeah, these are
so
live
was it
streams.
multiple people, or is it an individual, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I'm a millennial too, and I'm still learning about what the current generation is on, right? And they are also on a platform called Discord. Okay, and that's the
Okay.
platform they use to chat and also sort of use to stream videos.
Okay.
And this is really cool because you can have a bunch of different channels for chatting. So one can be about sheet music, one can be about announcement, one can be about um, like recording. Like you can have a bunch of categories, and then you can talk amongst themselves within that channel. And then you can also have an audio conversation or video if you like. So it's kind of like yeah, it's like chat and a video platform all in one. It's a very cool platform, and that's what we started doing. We do all our announcements, all our submission of like sheet music, everything on there, so everything is in one platform instead of going back and forth with emails.
Also,
So
you're able to get information back and forth really quickly. You're
yes, yes, yeah.
like for
So it
classes.
almost, yeah, it almost like I'm texting them like like with while I'm not in class with them. So if students have any questions, they can ask directly to me or other students.
Okay.
And
So do you, so then, okay, so sorry, Discord. So that's what you're using to do some of your, your assignments and getting maybe some sheet music to people and some other things like that.
right.
How are you using Twitch then for your live events?
So on Discord, there's a video feature,
Hmm.
and everybody can be on there, and then that can be streamed onto Twitch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so what's been the success with this? I mean, like what's the big win?
The big win. Well, we're still growing, and
Sure.
there's a lot of trial and errors, and I think that's where what college students should be like. They keep trying and doing different things and see if it works, or if not, it doesn't. Um, but I really think it's about getting together and creating one thing together as a group, and that's something to do with like music, right?
Yeah, and I think that this is fantastic, and if nothing else, this has been great because I've worked with a lot of educators over the past numerous months, and
Mhm.
we struggle a little bit
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
platforms.
Yeah.
And if this is a way that we can kind of connect it all together, I think that there is um, something amazing to be said about that.
Mhm, mhm,
I've
mhm.
not dabbled in these two platforms, but not to have the whole conversation be on software, moving on a little bit here, but
Yeah.
what you're doing now, and since we're on college, I do want to get to your professional career in a moment, but
Mhm.
since we're under college teaching, how do you think that hopefully we get back to whatever this new normal will be, but
Yeah.
what do you think the next step's going to be? What's going to happen next? Are you going to be using these platforms in the future, or are you going to be going back to the way things are? I mean, or were, whatever. I mean, but so what are your thoughts on those things in your college teaching?
Yeah, absolutely. So this Twitch is very interesting, and it has a different audience for that. And I really like the fact that students are coming together and creating, one show. So I would love to have them keep going with this, and the fact that they're creating content, I think this will be a good sort of a digital portfolio for them eventually. For example, for this gentleman who's doing a arranging show, if that gets kind of if he has multiple of them, that could be his maybe digital portfolio if he wants to present it to later on, if he graduates and want to present it to, I don't know, going to get into an arrangement, that may be something that he can present it to uh, the presenters, right? And yeah, I think it's good to have like some records of people, what they were doing, and what you were doing during pandemic, to see what we were feeling and what we were going for. It's very important to kind of keep that in a capsule, I think. And this platform really is doing that for us right now. And even afterwards, I think it will be good for us to stream our music. What we want to do eventually is to get more of our recordings out on Twitch, like the arranged music out on Twitch, to show people what we're doing. And that's hopefully we can get together and record that and then post it on there. So that's our ideal scenario for now.
So do you think these digital outlets now, I mean, like,
Mhm.
been I'm heavily in the brass band world, and
Mhm.
all these groups are doing all of these types of videos, right? So everybody
Mhm.
records at home and they
Right.
splice it all together and they send it out on YouTube and all of that. So we've
Yeah.
got all these different types of digital platforms right now that are going on.
Right.
So do you think that in the future
Mhm.
these platforms will be supplemental to what live music is, or is it going to take a little bit of what live music was and kind of fill up a little bit of that space? Just it's just curious. Is it gonna enhance live music, or is it gonna maybe take away a little bit? I don't know. I'm that's a big question on my mind.
Yeah, I'm sure. I actually want to ask that question to everybody too. Um, but we really realized that we miss live music, right? And
Absolutely.
yeah, and I don't think it will be a supplementary. I hope that it will be well, supplementary in a way. I hope that it will be something that will get people interested and see. I want to see
Hmm.
that live music, that one in live. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so video should be sort of a stimulus for you to want to go see live music.
So it's kind of like that teaser thing, right? Like it's the movie preview is what
Yeah,
we're saying.
but I just feel that this generation is getting so used to streaming and listening to music through headphones and watching videos that I don't know. Maybe they don't feel the same way as I do. But yeah, I'm very curious to
Well,
know
it, yeah,
what
not to
other.
get all morbid or anything on this subject or
No,
anything
no,
like
no, no,
that.
no. It's
Yeah,
not.
no, I know, but it's true, right? Because what you want is um, a lot of my favorite groups, right? They're doing some type of streaming or something like right now.
Yeah, yeah,
But what you long for is to be right there in front of them and getting
yeah.
that emotional impact
Right,
right then and there. It's about
right.
all of your senses
Yeah.
at one time,
And
right?
it's all for the audience too, to share that moment together as an audience,
Exactly.
listening to the music. It's not just about listening to the live music, but it's about sharing that moment, all of us together in that one
The
place.
energy of the crowd,
Mhm,
everything like that. Yeah,
mhm, mhm.
so hopefully, I like your idea of that it's kind of like it kind of gets people fired up a little bit, right? To go to see the whatever the show
Right.
might be.
Yeah.
But hopefully it definitely doesn't do any, it takes any of the share of what live music is right now.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Yeah.
let's move on to something here. So
Mhm.
let's talk about your professional career a little bit and some of the
Yep.
things that you've done. And so give us a little bit of an overview on that and what you're
Sure.
now, and then
Yeah.
maybe we'll get into what you think next steps might be and how to create
Yeah.
more things. Maybe who knows?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm very happy to see Sophie here from Conn-Selmer. Um, but I'm an endorsed artist for Conn-Selmer's Selmer Paris saxophones. And I've been extremely fortunate to be playing the instrument that I have. I play on the Selmer Series 3 for alto and Series 2 for soprano saxophone. And from as my professional career, yes, as I've been introduced, I'm an on-call for the Los Angeles Philharmonic, and it's a wonderful experience to be playing with an orchestra as a classical saxophonist. There's not that many, for example, for bolero, there are only two. Maybe sometimes it's one. It depends on, or maybe none. Sometimes a clarinet player was supplement for the saxophone. Yay! uh, oh no! Oh no!
No, no,
No, no. Okay,
that's a
never
no
mind.
go, right?
That's a no go. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But I do that. I also play a lot of repertoires with piano, saxophone, and I have a brilliant guitar duo partner. His name is Scott Morris, and we do a classical guitar and saxophone duo together. We just released a CD in October, right in the middle of pandemic, and we were very worried, but at the same time very optimistic of this of releasing a CD at this time. Um, Thinking that everybody's at home and everybody's launching for music, so maybe our music will be heard. Um, that's what we've been doing. We recorded at such a prestigious and legendary studio called the Capitol Studios in Hollywood with an engineer, Al Schmidt, and producer Nico Bolas. And it was absolutely an amazing experience doing that. And what a luxury to be doing that just for two of us. And with this duo, we've recorded Schubert and Mozart's music. We arranged the music all ourselves. And we have like Mozart's Twinkle Twinkle variations to Schubert's Arpeggione Sonata. And we have Ave Maria. So if those of you who are interested, I would please check our music out. And we also have been in Granada. It's all over Spain, but especially in Granada in 2019. There was a guitar festival that was organized by the city and also California State University. They have a summer program that's in Granada.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the privilege of being there with the guitar program and also teach guitar ensemble. So that was an interesting experience.
And you did a tour that year, right? You toured a couple places. I remember
exactly.
seeing your Instagram page, and you were like on some beaches and things like that. I was very jealous at the time, but anyways.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so
we recorded 3 pieces from Albanese's Spanish suites, Catalunya and Mallorca and Granada. And we went to those locations and shot videos of us playing music video. And all 3 are on YouTube, so you can check them out. Maybe I can share a little bit of the Granada right now. How's that?
please do.
Yeah. Is the sound going?
Fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you.
How did that come about? How did that whole come about, like getting together with Scott and everything? It's very interesting.
Yeah. So we have a classical guitar program at our university, and one day we were asked to do a faculty recital, and that required saxophone and guitar, and we got together.
Yeah.
And we found out that our teachers, my teacher Doug Masick, and his teacher were a saxophone and classical saxophone and guitar duo as well before.
Mm.
So there was a funny, interesting coincidence, and we were like, you know what, this, there might be something. We just felt the chemistry in our sounds, and we were like, let's give it a try, and we started playing. I think there was an arpeggio in a sonata. I played arpeggio in a sonata with the pianist, and he played it with the flute player before. So we just got together and started playing a little bit, and it worked really well. So we decided to take this journey forward.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it seems like it definitely works really well, and like the videos, like the perfect setting, right? It's like we're in Spain, everybody, and the culture, right?
It can't be any more Spain than that.
No, right? I mean, how did you
Yeah.
get on a rooftop in Spain? Right? I mean,
That's
fantastic.
actually a classical guitar player Pepe Romero's rooftop.
Okay. Oh,
He has a house
nice.
he has a house over there, and he has that panoramic view of Alhambra from his
Right.
patio and the living room, which is so gorgeous. And yeah.
So, obviously you have done a lot of amazing things, and even through the pandemic, you launched your CD, right? And those types of things. So what are you planning for the future with your own professional playing? Like
Yeah.
orchestras. I mean, my goodness, right? I mean, I don't know if everybody saw the letter that the was it the Vienna Phil, or I forget who wrote it for the Metropolitan Opera, because they're having their issues, and
Mm.
I mean, there's issues going on. So I mean, it's a very challenging for everyone. But
Right.
what are you planning on doing? How are you going to still make your craft, and
Mm.
whenever, even now and later on?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be continuing the duo with Scott, and we're talking about our second album, um, with, consisting all Spanish music. So that Granada is going to be included as well. Hope those three Albanese pieces on YouTube are sort of our teaser for the Spanish
Mhm.
CD, I guess. But of course, I think if this pandemic was not happening, we probably would have been probably recorded or have been working, probably was almost to the completion of the second album. Who knows? But right now we're working on our arrangement virtually, because he's in Los Angeles,
Mhm.
and yeah, I think by the time I get back, I'll be returning to Los Angeles next month in March.
Okay.
So we might be able to work on some arrangement, maybe recording. We don't know yet, but that's still going. And well, my goodness, like you said about orchestra, we still don't know what's going to happen with that kind of large ensemble, right?
Yeah.
Um, I'm sure pieces that require saxophone in the orchestra, that may, I don't know, it might take a little while for be included in the program. Um, so
But you
I
never
don't,
know. I mean, right? Because
yeah.
some of those large orchestra pieces, right? They have the included the saxophone in it, but you could get into some of those. Hopefully, at least what I
Mhm,
heard of some of my friends who are in larger orchestras, they're going to do some type of chamber type things,
mhm.
get some of those really modern type pieces that are quote unquote written for orchestra, but they're essentially just a large chamber orchestra at that.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Have sense. So hopefully some things like that will happen.
Yeah, and
Creative on things, right?
there are pieces for string orchestra and saxophone, like a Glazunov saxophone concerto, for example, is requires string orchestra. So, that's a possibility. I might tap
Sure.
into those smaller orchestral or even wind band ensembles that I could possibly do a solo with. Maybe I might look into those.
Sure.
Um, yeah, but as a classical saxophonist, we have to hustle, and we have to constantly be looking for any opportunities, any new things, any creative ways to connect with different kinds of musicians, different kinds of not just musicians, but like artists or any other profession. And that's my joy as I think, saxophonist, I think, in my career. Recently, I've met with a harpsichordist here.
There you go.
And yeah, and that may be something that might lead to something, So I'm always in the look, I'm all constantly looking for some interesting things I could do.
Well, you've also been branching out a little bit, right? And a lot of musicians have in what they're doing, and I know you've been doing some like streaming and podcasting and things like that.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what was your purpose behind doing some of those things, and how has that been going? Have been able to see some success there and things like that?
In arranging and
No, in your
in
podcasting, like,
pod. Oh, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, no, 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 it's okay. Yeah, in some of your podcasting
Podcasting.
and doing
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
So Scott and we've been doing a podcast, live interview show on. We started off with Facebook since we have more audience there, and now we're streaming on multiple platforms on YouTube as well. First, we started off just talking, just Scott and myself, and after a while, we were like, we don't have much to talk about. After a while, like we talked basically everything we can talk about. So we started including guest artists to our
Hmm.
show. And we had Andrew York, a guitar player. We had Ron Boris, and he's a music therapist and guitar player. Doug Masick, saxophonist, and Pepe Romero was on our show. And this past week we have Clayton Cameron. He's a drummer.
He is,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, he was on
nice.
our show. Yeah, and it's been really fun because I think a lot of artists are waiting to do something. Like they want to connect with people, and talk
Yeah.
about music. And yeah, I think this is a really great time to ask them, like, what have you been doing? And what's your career been? Because not all the time we can just casually have a conversation with them. So this podcast really get us, get their stories out, I feel like.
Well, it's so true. You want to hear great music, but you want to interact with people, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
much of it is hearing a show, going and hearing the great music, but then meeting the people who made the great music and getting to know them.
Yeah.
In the brass band world, right? Because I direct a couple groups and those types of things, right?
Mhm.
It's as much it is playing and going to rehearsal as it is going and having a beverage afterwards, right? As much of that and the and
Yeah.
the the camaraderie that comes with it. So
Right.
I think definitely a lot of musicians have longed for that,
Hmm.
wanted that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it seems like a very creative outlet to be able to invite musicians on the show, and even
Hmm.
very similar thing to what we're doing today, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Getting people involved,
Hmm.
because we've all been stuck at home too long, right? I mean, we've been stuck at home too long, right? So you got to get out in some ways,
Yeah.
and this is the best we got. This is the best we got, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
let's get it done. Um,
Yeah.
you know, I I always like to do this too a little bit because as much as we are the masters of our craft, and we are every day we focus on that. I always like to give a ton of credit to those who make those instruments.
Mm.
So, I'd like to just talk a little bit about um, why you have chosen to really play Selmer Paris saxophones. And if there's somebody out there looking to get an instrument, why we might push them towards you know purchasing these, because any instrument is an investment, right? Any instrument is an investment. So if we're going to make an investment, why you want to be able to emit your emotions through this instrument. So why does a Selmer Paris Series 3 saxophone do it for you? And what advice can you give to those out there that are searching for that instrument?
Mm. Yeah. So when I chose this instrument, it was all because of my teacher, Doug Masick, and he's a Selmer artist, and he truly believes in a Selmer. He has a Mark Six, beautiful Mark Six, but yeah, he was like, you need to play this, and without me not knowing too much, to be really frankly speaking, I did not know much about classical saxophone until I got to college, and
Interesting.
and
Okay. Okay. That's great.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
I didn't know anything. I wasn't, my band was not like a hardcore, like honor band,
Yeah.
heavy
Sure.
kind of school. So I did not know a whole lot about the instrument. And instrument or about playing or any repertoire. So when I see, fifth grader playing like a saxophone concerto or sonatas already, I'm so like, wow, um, compared to where I was. Um, but I worked very hard after college, but some, given the Selmer saxophone, it really allows me to create the sound that I'm looking for,
Mhm.
meaning it's the warm tone that I can't explain. It's my voice.
Right.
If I were a singer, my body is going to be the instrument, and that's going to be the color of my
Mhm.
instrument. But for saxophone, that is the instrument that will express my music and my voice. And that instrument that I have, well, Salmer instrument that I have, it just really gives me a rich tone and lets me sing. And yeah, I cannot be happier than
Well,
playing.
yeah, it's your partner, right? Isn't that what it
Yeah,
is?
yeah.
Or in
It,
music,
it's part of it's part of me.
Yeah,
It's an extension of my hand.
yeah, it's extension, exactly, right? So, at the end of the day, it better be exactly what you want, because if it's not, you will always be frustrated, right?
Mhm. And
And yeah,
but just yeah, thank you. And just because you have a great instrument, that doesn't mean that it's going to be part of you. You have to play it, and you have to get used to it, and you really have to spend time with it, right? And then it becomes really a part of you, I think. So
what is it?
yes,
What is it?
summer,
Is
is
it
it?
10,000 hours, and then you master it? Is that what it is?
I don't
Is
know.
that the
I've
going
never.
rate now, or something like that, right? Okay, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've never calculated time, but
Yeah.
but yeah, spending time with it. So of course, when I purchased my soprano saxophone, it took me a while to get used to the instrument. It's not
Mhm.
an easy instrument coming from an alto. It feels like another completely different instrument. But as you spend time, and I do a lot of singing as well,
Mm.
and like the vibrato and the tone of the color I want, I really try to match that with my instrument. And yeah, the Selmer instrument really does that, so I'm extremely
Absolutely.
happy. Mhm.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah. And Sophie, I believe there's a new addition in the Selmer world, right?
Yes, it just came out 2 days ago. It's the Selmer Supreme. And so it is supposed to be the culmination of all of the best attributes of every one of their preceding Selmer Paris instruments. And so this one is fully made in the Paris factory, keywork, body tubing, everything. And yes, we had our dealer product launch literally, I think, yeah, it was 2 days ago. And Scott Campbell, our product manager in the US, was the presenter. He's, of course, a classical saxophonist himself. And I think the biggest rave that he really was driving is that this saxophone is making your playing effortless. So all of the inherent quirks and issues that every saxophone will have with the musician is eliminated with this model. And then the other thing that Scott kept really loving is that the intonation is just spot on, and you just don't have to do any adjusting yourself.
Wow.
So we're very excited. We've already pre-sold our first group that's coming to us from France, but they've promised every 2 weeks to send us more. So it's certainly one for you to take a test drive when you can get your hands on one.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Which is a great lead, so because you can take a test drive, right away with music. So that's the shameless plug. It's fine. We're over with that. But no, and thank you, Sophie. That's fantastic. And I just want to, we've got a few minutes left here, and I want to sum up, kind of everything that we talked about just a little bit, and then see if there's any questions. We've talked about a lot of different topics today, which is great. I love jam packing information. We're recording this, so you guys can go back and look at it, and you can get in touch with me. And if you got questions for Chika or Sophie too on instruments, anything like that, I'm sure we'll be able to get you those questions answered and things like that. So, but we talked about platforms, right? Platforms that I had no idea really about. I have to go do some research because I think that this is going to be great for a lot of our educators, I mean across the country, well, the world apparently, right? Because we're worldwide right now, right? But and then what to really do, what to do with what you were, how you were making music, and then some opportunities. They're really opportunities, right? Moving forward, they're not obstacles. It's just that we have to adapt to the future that has already been made, because the future has been made, everyone. We just have to adapt to it now, and we got to figure out what we're doing. And then, of course, we talked about your awesome career. I mean, let's we're gonna have to figure out how to get the duo into Iowa. I think it'll be fantastic. Something definitely different. So. But it's definitely been great having you on today, Chika. Does anybody have any questions that I mean, we've got a couple minutes here. If anybody has any questions that they want to you can feel free to unmute or anything like that, or type them in the chat. That's no problem. And if not, that's okay too. We're not putting anybody on the spot here. That's not the case. But if you do, now is the time.
Chika, I'm also curious, what's your mouthpiece setup that you use?
My mouthpiece setup, it's all Van Doren. And I'm also a Van Doren endorsed artist. And for alto, if I just tell you like what I have, it's AL5 with MO pink gold ligature with traditional 3 reed, Van Doren reed. For soprano, it's a profile mouthpiece, SP3 with optimum ligature with the V21 3.5 reed. Yeah. So.
A lot of numbers there, right? That's a lot of things to go.
Yeah.
Since we're on gear here for 1 second, there's another little thing, right, that you use. What's that little thing?
Oh.
You know?
Yeah, it's called the Le Freak, and that's part of the reason why I met Alex West Music, because you guys once used to sell them, right?
Well, we still sell them. We
Oh,
were
you
we were
still
once
sell them. Okay.
the distributors for Le Freak in the U.S., but we've kind of had a little restructuring on that one. But
Got it.
we
Got it.
still
Got it.
sell Le Freak, and
Yeah.
uh, you can talk about it, or I can talk. You know, it's an interesting.
Yeah, it's just two metals that you put between the mouthpiece and the neck of the saxophone, and you bind it with this elastic thing, and it bridges the sound much kind of smoother and centers the tone. It also puts the pitch in place much easier, I would say. It's a little bit, it makes it a little bit more effortless to play. And it depends on the room where you play. Sometimes I feel that I feel good playing it, but sometimes when I ask somebody to listen to me in the audience, they, depending on the room, they are questioning. But usually I really love playing with that metal on top of it, and yeah, I think it projects the sound much better.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions on that, they can always feel free to reach out to me and I can walk through.
Yeah, and it has different kinds of metals, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
Alex?
there are different, there's, anything from brass to silver to gold and crazy gold and it gets intense, but
Yeah.
we do have a couple questions. Do you have any recordings of traditional repertoire?
Traditional repertoire of the saxophone repertoire, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. There are a couple on my YouTube channel. I hope you get to check them out. I don't have any traditional music CD out, um, but maybe in the future I might do that. But
Okay.
yeah.
And then for the live ensemble rehearsals, do you do those on the Twitch and Discord?
Discord platform. I
Yeah.
do not do an ensemble rehearsal, but who knows? Maybe eventually, when we get together in person, we might be able to do that. Maybe we might have more contents to, get it out once we're together. But now, yeah, we can only put it together as a group, like talking, and then put up a recording on there.
So you record individually, right? Is that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have them send in a video recording from their smartphones.
Yeah, the issue with that still with everyone is just the latency, right? Moving, having everybody play at once and having everybody synced at once.
Right.
Internet.
And it was a good experience for me learning how to edit music. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
putting audios and videos together. That's a skill that is going to
It
be
is.
essential. Yeah. It's going
It's
to be something that everybody needs to be able to do.
it's intense.
Yeah.
It's definitely
Yeah.
intense. So
Yeah.
well, any other questions from anyone?
Yeah, if you do, feel free to email me from my website, chikainoue.com, or I'm also on Instagram, Chika Sax. So, yeah, and I also have my YouTube. So please feel free to email me, message me.
Of course, if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to email me, and we'll get them answered. And of course, if you want to try anything, we're here. But thank you so much, Chika, today. It's been fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sophie,
Thank
for
you.
helping us with this,
Yes.
and Conn-Selmer. And I hope everybody has a great evening, afternoon, morning, whatever it is for you. I hope that it's fantastic. So thank you much, and we'll see you the next time.